The delegation from Buea Diocese on pilgrimage to Rome today on the 5th day of their stay celebrated Mass at the Basilica of St. Peter with a call from the Bishop for them to continue proclaiming the good news. Some 35 journalists are now equipped with skills in investigative reporting. This as the journalists participated in a 2-day workshop in Douala sponsored by the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon. Greetings to you, dear viewers, and welcome to tonight's edition of our Primetime News with me, Reverend Father Alphonse Ikema. These were our top stories. More would be coming in the following minutes. Welcome back, dear viewers. The pilgrims of the Diocese of Buea currently visiting Rome under the patronage of the Chief Shepherd of the Diocese of Buea, His Lordship Michael Bibi, celebrated Mass today at St. Peter's Basilica. It was a significant moment for the pilgrims as they were united in prayers with the Chief Shepherd at the tomb of St. Peter. They later on visited the Vatican Museum and other touristic holy sites. Our special envoy to Rome, Reverend Father Mike Njomo, tells us more in the following report.
Pilgrims opened the day with the celebration of the Eucharist at the Basilica of St. Peter, officiated by the local ordinary of Buea Diocese, His Lordship Bishop Michael Bibi, on the 7th of May 2024. As pilgrims of Buea Diocese, Bishop Michael Bibi invited them to continue the mission of proclaiming the good news to the ends of the world and to share the mercy and love of Christ with others so that all may come to know God and experience His saving grace.
As pilgrims of Buea Diocese, we are called to continue the mission of proclaiming the good news. We are entrusted with the task of sharing the love and mercy of Christ with others so that all may come to know Him and experience His saving grace. The anniversary of our diocese is an opportunity for us to reflect on how we have embraced this mission and to recommit ourselves to the work of evangelization. The establishment of our diocese 74 years ago was a recognition of the unique role and mission that we have to play. It was an acknowledgement of the particular gifts and callings of the faithful in our region, and an affirmation of our shared responsibility to be Christ, to be present in the world, and to make sure that we proclaim Christ.
In the Basilica of St. Peter's, the pilgrims prayed at the tomb of St. Peter, offering their diocese and families to the intercession of the saints. This day 5 of their journey of spiritual nourishment was also one during which the Christians carried out prayers and adoration and visited some museums at the Vatican. As a religious and mother general of the Tertiary Sisters of St. Francis, Sister Theodosia Mbaki, based in Rome, appreciated the Diocese of Buea's initiative of embarking on this faith journey.
I am very happy that the pilgrims from Buea Diocese spent the whole day yesterday in Assisi, which is like our roots, the land of our birth. Assisi is a place where everybody comes and goes to look at this simple St. Francis of Assisi, who has made an impact in the whole world. The world that is becoming more materialistic, where there is no peace, there are wars, there are fighting, and people cannot live in peace with one another. Assisi is an example. For the Buea Diocese, I wish God's blessings, because I know that this pilgrimage is going to make a difference not only in the lives of the pilgrims who are here with their bishop and priest and religious and lay people, but also in the life of the whole Diocese of Buea. So I wish them well, and I am praying very specially for the diocese that it may continue to be an example in the church in Cameroon.
It should be noted that this spiritual exercise, which is expected to run till the 9th of May 2024, is one of many activities planned by the diocese as it looks forward to the peak celebration of its 75th anniversary on the 24th of April 2025.
In the Diocese of Buea, Christians of St. Martin de Porres Parish, Bukwango, are gathered in the parish yesterday to listen to the prelate's teaching on Know Your Faith. Yesterday's session was carried out by Reverend Father Martin J, sitting in for the bishop. He focused on the Presbyterial Council as well as the College of Consultors, what they are, their duties, and the internal organization of these. Father Roderick Yangsi was there and compiled for us the following details.
Once more into the beautiful citadel of the St. Martin de Porres Parish, Bokwango, where Christians and visitors who came from far and wide to listen to the program Know Your Faith, a program whose host is His Lordship Michael Bibi, the Bishop of the Diocese of Buea. Today's session was given by Father Martin J, sitting in for the Bishop. In his teaching of today, he taught on the Council of Priests and the College of Consultors. He differentiated the terms presbyter, presbyterium, presbyterate, which all have roots from the Greek presbyterion, which is an elder of a community. Thus, a presbyteric council is an advisory, deliberative, or administrative body of priests who gather to help the bishop in the administration of his diocese.
A council is generally an advisory, a deliberative, and administrative body of people, and it is formally constituted following rules and regulations formally held or called. And this meeting is held in particular to resolve an issue which is at stake, which needs clarification. So from the word council, which is an advisory, deliberative, and administrative body of people, which is formally constituted, we have the Presbyterial Council, which means a council of elders, the council of elders who are the priests in the church.
Drawing from the Code of Canon Law 502, he also took on the College of Consultors, who are about 6 to 12 priests selected from the Council of Priests, who for 5 years constitute the College of Consultors.
According to the Code of Canon Law, paragraph 495 following, in each diocese there is to be established a council of priests. That is a group of priests who represent the presbyterium, a group of priests who represent the other priests. And this group of priests has a particular mandate and a particular function, specific roles they are to execute. And whatever role they execute, it revolves around the circle. The fact that they are to assist the diocesan bishop in accordance with laid down laws, rules, and regulations to aid in the pastoral welfare of the diocese.
After the session, we took on some Christians who spoke on the benefits of attending this doctrinal talk.
I've learned a lot because I never knew that the Board of Consultors or the Council of Priests were elected. I thought it was a decision of the bishop to just appoint the Council of Priests. But from his teaching today, I can see that even though at times we see the church is not democratical, but there's an election before we have the Presbyterial Council. So for this, I'm very grateful. He has given me an insight of what the church is all about.
We are so happy with the teaching, and we encourage the Christians to always attend these doctrines so that we learn more about our faith.
The Christians left with much satisfaction while they await the next session with vigor and enthusiasm.
Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, dubbed CHRDA, has recommended that the state should be transparent in its reports on the progress of investigations opened against state agents guilty of violating or guilty of committing human rights violations, as it presents the first quarter of its reports for the year. Aloysius Likie highlights the situation of the report as presented by CHRDA.
Applauded for being at the forefront since the start of the Anglophone crisis, reporting human rights violations and abuses in the Northwest, Southwest and Far North regions, is the Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa, CHRDA. From 2016 to 2024, this center have been reporting violations from both the non-state actors and the state forces. It is for this same reason that press men and women, as well as civil society actors, were invited for a press conference for the first quarter of the year 2024 on the human rights situation of the conflict-affected Northwest, Southwest, and Far North regions of the country. The report shows that there have been a drop in attacks in the Northwest and Southwest regions of the country, with more pupils and students going to school and economic activities booming in some areas that were formerly deserted. What accounts for the drop in the attacks, amongst others, are the sporadic attacks by the military and the non-state armed forces, loss of trust from the population, and death of most fighters, as the Assistant Human Rights Officer for Chadha explains.
Look at the last quarter of the year 2023 and this first quarter, there has been a little drop in the abuses and violations in the Northwest and Southwest regions, as well as the Far North region of Cameroon. There are several reasons for this trend or a drop in violations, some of which are also the capacity of separatist fighters as well as armed groups to carry out operations. They have been weakened considerably, and also the communities, due to their excessive use of power and also violations of human rights within the community. Some communities have ostracized them, and we saw an issue where a separatist fighter was arrested by the community and handed to defense and security forces. Those are communities where these people have also committed excessive human rights abuses. Some military bases have been established and checkpoints in some of the areas, especially in interior areas, and the state also has been carrying out targeted attacks of camps belonging to armed separatist fighters, especially in the Northwest region. We saw the case of Momo Division, where General Efang, who is a notorious warlord of the separatist armed group, was killed. So some of these activities have weakened the strength of these actors and also brought down the violations, but they are far from coming to an end.
The first quarter report for the year 2024 also witnessed attacks on education, with over 2,245 schools still closed. There has also been violation on the rights to free movement of persons and property, kidnapping and ransom taken by non-state actors, and killing and destruction of livestock by Boko Haram insurgents in the Far North regions, as well as arbitrary arrest and detention, with some of those arrested in detention centers in Communicado. The Assistant Human Rights Officer once more paints a picture of the situation in both regions as well as the Far North region.
If you look at the details in our report, you will realize that there has been continuous violations and abuses in these regions. That's the Northwest, Southwest, and Far North regions of Cameroon. We've seen violations of the right to life, the right to freedom of movement, the right to participate in civic responsibilities, the right to health, the right to education, amongst other human rights that we are violated and abused by both state defense and security forces and non-state armed group, as well as Boko Haram insurgents in the Far North region of Cameroon.
The Center for Human Rights and Democracy in Africa thus recommends as follows. The Cameroon government should speed up judicial proceedings against persons arrested in context of the conflict. The state should be transparent in its reports on the progress of investigations opened against state agents, especially state defense and security forces accused of committing human rights violations. Urge the state defense and security forces and separatist fighters to exercise restraint and desist from committing human rights violations and abuses, especially attacks against civilians and their properties. Urge all parties to the conflict in the Northwest, Southwest regions to stop attacks on journalists and human rights defenders, and this will greatly permit the civil society to function properly, and call on separatist fighters and their leadership to stop attacks on school infrastructures, teachers, school children, and other academic stakeholders, amongst others.
Some 35 journalists and members of the English-speaking the members of the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists, that is DOPT Kamasech, have completed a 2-day training session. The investigative reporting workshop was sponsored by the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon under the theme Dig Deeper and Report Better. Menadech has details and more in the following report.
The group of 35 journalists that gathered at Hotel Valet de Prince in Douala represented various media outlets from different regions of Cameroon. Over the course of 2 days, they engaged in journalistic modules focusing on enhancing their investigative journalism skills, including topics such as fact-checking and data journalism. The objective of this training is to equip Cameroonian journalists, particularly with the approaching 2025 elections, to combat misinformation. Jude Viban, National President of the Cameroon Association of English-Speaking Journalists, emphasized the importance of their training.
It's going to give an opportunity for participants here to be better at their job, it's going to enhance the quality of journalism that we're going to have.
Jude Viban adds that participants have the opportunity to receive reporting grants for research projects and reporting that will have a significant impact on the audience.
We are specific about investigative reporting on how to uncover those stories, how to bring to the limelight those stories, how to shine a light in those dark spots.
The seminar, organized by Kamasej, is sponsored by the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon. The officials commit to remain supportive and consistent.
The United States is strongly value its democratic principles, and we believe that a strong and free press is an essential cornerstone for any democratic society. Our support to a free and strong press in Cameroon is also materialized beyond just these 2 workshops.
When the team and trainers leave Douala, they will be heading to the northern regions in the upcoming days to provide the same skills training to more than 25 journalists.
Primary schools in Buea and beyond sat today for the First School Living Certificate Examination Practicals, which aims at impacting them with practical skills for the future. It is also a practical session where pupils showcase their manpower to teachers and friends and are expected to be graded. Menadej witnessed some sessions in some primary school areas, and now gives us the details in the following report.
The practical section, which is expected to run for 2 days, constitutes a percentage of the entire First School Living Certificate examination written across Cameroon. Etienne Dembridget is Chief of Center for Buea Station. She explains the importance of such an examination.
We are here for the practical part of the first school. We started today and tomorrow. We saw our children wash those dresses and they dried them well. We went to the domain of agriculture. You can see how this place is looking good. Well done. Coming to the arts and craft, making of beads and books and crowns. Excellent work. We just have few, everything cannot be the 100%, but at least they tried. The attendance itself shows that they are ready for it.
Activities like laundry, cleaning, weaving, bead designs, amongst others, all constitute art and craft unfolded heat-free. Meanwhile, the superintendent of Buea Deanery expatiated on how this practical exercise is important to the pupils.
We are trying to train entrepreneurs. Yes, with the skills of agriculture, you see them before finishing the secondary. You see them already being oriented into the university. They will know which subject to take. And then for those who can do carpentry, you see them already. Like I'm just from Kingston. A child came out with a very good chair. I saw a boy who did beads from the chain to the earring to the necklace, the ring, and everything was intact. I went to BHS. There was somebody there who did a stash that we used to do our dresses. So the children are so wonderful. It is here we are discovering their talents and skills, and we are trying that they should develop them and grow into them so that tomorrow they become they will not be job seekers, but they themselves will be the job, those employing people.
To the invigilator, the pupils' performance will earn them a pass mark, and the pupils themselves are optimistic to make it in the practical session of the examination.
What I've made here is a hotel. This is This is a swimming pool here, and that is a waterfall flowing into a lake. And then this is a house. This is where they can eat, and that's a kitchen.
And the Chungong, I school in Ladybird Nigerian Primary School in class quarters. I felt great today doing the practicals because it gave me confidence that I'm going to pass. And the things I used to make was beads, magic rope, and it gave me my necklace and the rest.
My name is Daniel Oben. I school in Ladybird Nigerian Primary School. Where I feel good about using my art and craft because it's a way to express yourself and use for decoration of your body. And I also want to say that our teachers are giving us an opportunity to show our skills on how we can make beads for money, economic growth.
And the practicals was quite good because it made me to see how I can do art and craft. And I saw other people's art and craft and they were so good. So I said I would try to make that own. The art and craft that I made was a book, and I used a needle, a thread and a file to make the book.
The practical section will continue tomorrow with sporting activities, while the written section is scheduled to take place later in June.
With that report, we have now come to the end of what we had for you on today's edition of our Primetime News on DMR TV. But before we take leave of you, we shall have a recap of our major stories. The delegation from Boya Diocese on pilgrimage to Rome today, on the 5th day of their stay, celebrated Mass at the Basilica of St. Peter with a call from the Bishop for them to continue proclaiming the good news. Some 35 journalists are now equipped with skills in investigative reporting. This as the journalists participated in a 2-day workshop in Douala sponsored by the U.S. Embassy in Cameroon. I have been Reverend Father Alphonse Ekema for tonight's edition of our Primetime News. Keep watching DMR TV for more interesting programs.